everyone, welcome back to Stay Positive. Thanks so much for listening to this episode because I know it's been a minute. I am, I'm a busy girl sometimes, and even in quarantine, I somehow don't find the time to edit my podcast or record more. And kind of the situation with me too is like when I'm interviewing people, oftentimes I'm talking to people I've never met before in person, or I'm talking to people for the first time when I really haven't seen them in a while. And so I have a lot of, I have a lot of anxiety over whether or not I should even do the interview. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? Let me just wait until my social skills have kind of like returned to a natural state instead of me being this like weird hermit who's lived inside of the same room for a very, very long time and really has only ever talked to people through work. Which, hey, I get that every day. I do get a little FaceTime with people that I work with in the writer's room every day. I get to crack jokes there. I get to have fun, light banter. So, I'm not a total weirdo. Or am I? You'll never know. Anyway, I am. I know I am. But I did have an episode that I recorded a while back with a lovely guest who I don't think I'd ever met him in person except for I went on his Instagram live show and then I interviewed him for this podcast. So it's a very digital friendship. So a little bit about our guest. He is a poet, actor. We talk a lot about kind of working in entertainment, which I know can get a little in the weeds, but I always try to bring it to the general. You know what I mean? I work in entertainment, but I am new. So I know that it's not, I'm still new to all the things anyway. So I try to come from that perspective. Also, he is the co-host of the Joe and Joshua show, which is on Instagram Live. I did an interview or an episode with them because of Joshua, who was a past guest, right? We remember Joshua Silverstein, great, Meghan Markle's first kiss. So they're buddies and creative buddies, and they do a lot of work together. And perhaps one of my favorite credits of this guy is that he was in Gilmore Girls. And I totally saw the episode that he was in because it's in the reboot on Netflix. And before I knew him, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. That guy's like so talented. But I didn't realize that it's somebody I might bring on Stay Positive someday. So, but he has a lot of great things to say. And I really think it's a good time to release this episode. So I'm doing it. Please enjoy this episode with Joe Hernandez-Kolski. I've really never interviewed, I think, a poet before, and I'm always floored by poets and poetry because it's something that I definitely don't delve in, but I love that you are both a comedian and a poet because then I can kind of relate a little bit as a comedian, but it's completely, it's a really fascinating art form, and so I don't know what you want to start talking about.
It's different. For me, it has all been about self-expression, and it's all been about just creating new avenues and new ways to figure out what I'm trying to say. Stand-up is easily more challenging than poetry. All my poets will tell me.
I don't know about that.
They'll tell me I'm full of shit, but I'm not. Let me think about this for a second. A good comedy, I think, is harder than good poetry. I think bad comedy definitely is not better than good poetry. So I came out of the poetry scene and then moved into stand up. So started out, I grew up as an actor in Chicago. I started doing professional theater when I was like 11 years old. I was fortunate enough to work with a lot of wonderful artists in Chicago from a very early age, and moved out to LA as an actor. And as I delved into LA theater, I really was yearning for a way to get my own voice out. And poetry, the poetry scene called to me. I come from a very diverse background. My high school was Whitney Young, which is the same high school as Michelle Obama. And that's where I came from. Oh, wow. And that's where I always felt the most comfortable. I went to Princeton University, and when I went there, immediately gravitated to the African American community, more so than the Mexican American community. I never felt comfortable there. I bought into the stereotypes that you're only truly Mexicano if you're a certain shade of brown, speak Spanish perfectly, and know the lyrics to every ranchetta ever sung. And that wasn't me. And so, but the Black community was what, it took me time. I was insecure about that, but that's where I wanted to be. And so then when I moved to LA, I found myself in theater, and then I was like, but I need what keeps my soul fueled. And the poetry community really spoke to that. It had the social consciousness. It was mostly, it was predominantly people of color, and it had hip hop. It had all of these pieces to it, and I could be funny and separate myself. So like in the poetry scene, the priority is you have to be about something, like what you have to be saying. You have to be about something. If you can be funny, that's the added bonus. I feel in the stand-up community, you have to be funny, but if you say something of great substance, that's the bonus. Like people can get away with being stupid, and but if they're making you laugh, it works. Right. So
that's kind of the baseline, totally.
Yeah. So I got into poetry, and I was like, and I was feeling myself. I was separating myself from the rest of the group. I was, because it would be so serious all night, and then I would come up and bust my poem "No Disclaimers," which is a 2-minute diatribe. It's 2 minutes worth of disclaimers. And
I think I saw that on Def Jam or Def Poetry.
Yeah. And so
very cool.
That to me, I still love that. That's still a fond memory of mine, because I get up there and I'm like, I'm sorry guys, I didn't get a chance to prepare this yet. I'm gonna try and pull something different off. All right, let me just jump into this. Okay, I'm not quite sure if it really works, and people start losing their fucking minds, and that's just what I love.
Oh yeah, that's great. I mean, watching that, I felt like, it has so much in relation to comedy, so I can see how you also found your way to stand up, because essentially it's very similar, but also what you're saying about the sort of reverse of like what's the given and what's the bonus is so true. And I think, in that way you're kind of ahead of the curve, because I feel like more and more comedy is becoming about what you're saying just because of the world. But, in that sense, you're very, you were already there when most people we were just kind of hanging around.
I mean, there's something to be said for, like, I cut my teeth in poetry, and so I did a lot of the growing pains there. And
totally.
But then I did find myself, I was doing a lot of college shows after the HBO Def Poetry appearances, and I could just do poems. And that to me was boring. I was enjoying the give and take with my audience that was happening in between the pieces. But the pieces were just, 3 to 7 minutes long. And once you're in it, you're in it. And so I was like, I need to find just stand up had always spoken to me. And it is, in my opinion, the harder of the art forms. And I've never really dove into improv, because improv was, I take that back. I dove in. I did the whole Second City Conservatory, all 5 levels, but I hated it. I really did.
Yeah, it's a dive. Sure.
And so,
I don't do that. That seems very difficult. But I mean, going through that, I'm sure, what they tend to say, I guess, right, is like the skill does lend itself well to all other forms of performance. So sure that it was not all for nothing.
No, I'd like to think that I gained some tools from it, but stand-up still is my favorite. It's the most compact, and it's the one that really forces you to peel back the onion. You can with a poem, you can, I feel it, I don't want to say it's surface, but I think the more challenging aspect of poetry versus stand-up is the substance of it. Versus, if you have the courage to dive into certain substantive levels. But as far as crafting, Jesus, stand-up is a challenge. Like good stand-up crafting and cutting and cleaning and word choice and compactness. That I love it and miss it. I haven't been doing stand-up for a while because of Joshua. He and I do so much work together that really takes up a majority of my time.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and especially, nobody can do it now. So, so maybe that was the way to go.
Well, I think you can.
Yeah,
I think people are doing.
Sure. Got
Zooming
Zoom
ones.
shows. Yeah, that works fine.
You're not going to get an audience reaction, but
right. Who needs that, right? I just talking into the camera. Why not? Right. But that is pretty. You really followed in the footsteps of Michelle Obama, I guess, because Princeton as well, right? So that's great.
Oh yeah. No, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the moment when I get to meet them. I'm gonna meet them. I'm gonna meet them at some point, and I'm just gonna be like, "You guys, okay, hold up, time
Same
out.
thing.
Hold on, wait, okay. So you, sir." You and I share the same birthday, so yeah.
Oh, that's a hidden fact.
And you, ma'am, you and I went to Whitney Young, yeah. You and I went to Princeton, I know, right? And you and I both minored in African American Studies and went through the entire certificate program. So when is the adoption starting? Let's do this.
That's great. I can tell you've rehearsed.
I haven't. That's the first time I've actually done that.
I
like that as a bit now.
This is the rehearsal.
I'm going to work that as a bit now. But I want them to be my best friends, I think.
Yeah, I believe it'll happen.
I think everybody does.
Sure. Unfortunately, they're in high demand.
If you can see right where my shoulder is.
You have more connections than most.
If you can see right there, that book right there, right off my shoulder, that is Becoming. That's right. That's right there.
Nice.
I'm in the middle of reading it right now.
Yeah, a little product placement. Put out those good vibes.
Shout out to my girl.
That's good. Yeah. Good object work. It's that's very cool. But regardless, I guess what you're saying, because we kind of talked a little bit about this.
But regardless,
Joe and Joshua.
You said but as if it's never gonna happen.
Oh, yes. I didn't mean to dash your dreams.
That's great, but
well, regardless of the future, we can talk about it now. And
regardless of whether or not that's
we don't have to. We can still talk about it regardless of what the future holds. But with specifically what you're saying about not feeling like you weren't fitting into your Mexican American heritage, and then finding your tribe with the black students and folks at Princeton and high school. I know we kind of talked about this a little bit on Joe and Joshua's show.
Yeah, but let's get into it more.
But that's a really good. Just a little get a clean slate for this fun new topic.
All right, go.
Yes. I think it's a super relatable thing that everyone goes through in different ways. And the funny thing, because you were saying okay, maybe appearance wise and knowing the lyrics and certain things like that, on the flip side, I'm very appearing to be Asian visually. So I didn't have trouble with that. And I think that's in and of itself, I kind of got to, find my way into groups. But at the same time, I think culturally, because I was fourth generation, there's just a lot of oh yeah, I guess I'll laugh along because I don't know what you're talking about, but haha, whether that's lyrics or a certain thing that parents did or something like that. So yeah, so I don't know what sort of
So what is your specific background? Chinese?
Oh yeah, I'm half Chinese, half Japanese.
Oh, okay, so even more. You got even more just Asian cultures to represent, not just one.
Sure, yeah, that's true. And then I specifically went to a high school that was Primarily Korean American, I would say, white and Korean American. So even within the smaller Asian American population, it was I wasn't quite the specific country of origin, right? So anyway, it was just kind of funny. But again, visually, it's sort of I can be here, but also I guess I don't really speak the same language or have the same exact experience, right? So
this is all I know how to say. To your Korean friends, I can say "annyeonghaseyo." Oh, yeah. To your Japanese side, I can say "konnichiwa," and to your Chinese side, I can say "huajing da jia lai dao Sierra Katosho."
What is that?
I think that's how you say it, right? "Huajing da jia lai dao Sierra Katosho."
What does that mean?
It means just welcome to the Sierra Katosho.
Oh, okay. That's great. I don't,
that's all I know
that's
how
not
to
my
say.
Go-to, but that's more than I know.
I've had to host events and learn how to say different just welcome phrases.
Sure.
So I can say welcome
the go-to.
many languages.
That's great. Yeah, that seems like.
So wait, now
a
where
thing
did
to
you
know.
grow up? Was it?
I mean, I just grew up, in LA, outside of LA. But, my whole family's been in Southern California for a long time. So this is like our homeland, right? So we kind of don't have like much having been here for 4 generations. So I think it's always confusing because it's not a huge population that has that background.
What was your first experience of, oh shit, I do not fit into this? And then did you have an experience where you were like, oh, it's not my job to fit into this? Did you have those experiences?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I did. Let me see if I can think of a specific time, though. I mean, I think the funny thing is, I probably had more, probably like high school in general too was probably even the number of Asian Americans in our community grew, so I could kind of know, okay, there are races here, you know what I mean? Like I think as a kid you kind of know, but it's like not that important, which is great, if you can go through childhood not really knowing, right? And so kind of maybe in high school it was a little bit like, okay, yeah, I know that I am Asian, and yet I don't really fit into most of my Korean American friends because their parents are, immigrants, so maybe they don't necessarily, maybe they know each other, those parents know each other and feel more comfortable with each other, understandably, and my parents probably aren't gonna be able to necessarily be best buds with their parents. That's fine. That's not an issue necessarily, but maybe that's the first time, because within the friend group, I think it's like, it's fine. I mean, yes, certain things I don't get and feel a little bit outsider, but, I also had the benefit of being more Americanized in many ways. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, I think
and you mean
like I felt like completely outsider, if that makes sense.
Putting Americanized in massive quotation marks too. Americanized.
Exactly. Americanized, right? Like we were completely, I think, like especially tracing back when we revisit this within, well, I mean, especially like, okay, being an outsider while still having assimilated to the majority culture is very different than being an outsider and having, completely no relation to the mainstream or whatever the majority culture. So I kind of, I walk on eggshells in the sense of I can't be like, oh man, I was so in between and it was really tough. It's like, I had the benefit of also being able to be like, well, my parents can I don't have to translate the mail, I don't have to have a certain cultural barrier with them in the same way, maybe. So that was a privilege. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like kind of because we're flipped in that way in the sense that you felt like maybe you, okay, so because I could kind of like sneak in the sense that they knew I was Asian from the way I looked, and maybe you didn't have that sort of.
Yeah, no, I have white privilege. It gives me different access, but that's why I don't think it's a coincidence that I go and perform at colleges and it's very often the whitest looking Latinos who are in charge of the student unions, because we're the ones who are trying to prove ourselves. So we want to, it's very important to me now. Growing up, I was so insecure about being Mexican American because to me, like I said, I bought into the stereotypes that like these were negative things, and that was something that is just taught in our culture. It's just a part of it. Seeing it's still to this day, I still do readings and scripts and auditions, and it's still gardeners and gangbangers. It's still those two fucking things. Am I allowed to curse, by the way? Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
Still fucking gardeners and gangbangers. Fucking gardeners and gangbangers.
There we go.
I need to turn.
That'll be the little song.
I gotta make a song.
We used to intro.
That'll be the new Joe Hernandez-Kolski theme song. So yeah, but it's still that, and but yeah, it was in college, my sophomore year, when we had this big thing called pachanga, and it was this big a conference of all the Latinos from all of the schools on the East Coast, like all the Ivy Leagues and all the sister schools. And I got to meet others who were like me, who were like from Michigan, who were, worse Spanish than me. And I was like, oh, it's not my job to play your fucking role. Like, it's my job to be who I am. And it's my job, and well, it's not my job, but it's my choice to embrace it and carry it. I've had people tell me for years, change your name. You're not going to get work as Joe Hernandez-Kolski. You should be Joe Edwin, which is my middle name. Like, one person suggested I be Joseph Edwin. And I just found out recently the guy who is in Psych, the guy who's the lead in Psych. Did you see that recently? He came out.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I did see his name, and I was like, I don't know if that was the name that I knew him as.
Yeah,
but I didn't think about.
He embraced his original name, and I'm like,
oh wow, yeah.
And I think that's cool. There's a part of me like, yeah, but motherfucker, you got where you are now. Oh, and now you're gonna. Like,
sure, that I've seen people do that as well. But yeah, you're right. I think it was James Roday, and then it's actually James Ray Rodriguez. So did he like combine
something
it
like
before
that,
or something?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was a big Psych fan. Yeah, exciting.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm get to it whenever you get to it. Good for you. So, but yeah, and I've had people then encourage me to change it to Joe Hernandez, and I'm like, but that's not me. That's my grandpa, my uncle, and my cousin. And it's also another actor. There's another actor who goes by that.
Got it.
And in the end,
right, you'd have to get that little parentheses.
I am not about to be Joe Hernandez
no. 2. Yeah, get out of there.
Fuck
Don't
that.
do it. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of a dash name. I feel like we should do it more often. I feel like the first time I did see a lot of dash names was in college. Maybe because you're just meeting more people and from different places and everything, but it is kind of fun because it does, especially I think names where you can tell it's two different cultures. It does really like encompass a way. Like I was always fascinated seeing, the tiger, the battle hymn of the Tiger Mother, which is like Amy Chua, and it was like it was a best-selling book kind of around the time right before I went to college.
That's the one that established the Tiger Mom image, correct?
Right, yeah, it was very like controversial, of course, but her daughters go by Chua-Rubenfeld, and I was like, oh, I think that's maybe one of the first times I've seen an Asian name and
Jewish
and
name?
a dash in general. But yeah, just like most of the time maybe you see like two European last names. I don't know, but yeah, and I think it's kind of like an interesting thing, and I've seen even one friend who's half Korean, half Filipino, decided to change his name to both his Korean and Filipino last name because I think before it was maybe one or the other. I'm not positive, but so it was kind of like, I guess it's a good representation.
Not to mention, it's a massive part of the patriarchal society.
Right.
Like, not only is it about respecting and recognizing my Latino background, it's really about recognizing my mom as well. It's like, whoever agreed to like push it out, babe, push it out. Oh, great. I'm gonna give him my name now. Like, what the?
Sure, yeah. It sounds
like,
very.
Come on. I just fucking went through
many things.
24 hours of labor, and now we give him your name.
Nah. Yeah. It's definitely a metaphor for many things. But yeah, no, that's true. And so you've always had your dash name. It wasn't a
and it's taken me years to really. I mean, I still I guess I still sort of grapple with it, but like, this is it at this point. But yeah, I just it took me years. The first time I started using it, I was 12. My mom put it on my headshots as a child actor. And I literally said to my agent in front of my mom, why did you do that? Oh, no, not said to my mom in front of my agent, why did you do that, Mom? Now I'm not going to get any work.
Oh.
Right?
So you knew at 12.
I was so insecure about it. And so my mom did the smart thing. She sent me to Mexico City for the summer, and I lived with my relatives down there. And that was like first major landmark turning point for me, because I began to appreciate my culture in a different way.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, also, living away quite young, and then it was a deliberate,
Yeah.
I guess, move to to learn more. That's exciting.
Yeah, and I came back,
yeah.
on my 13th birthday. So like I went through, I seriously, literally experienced puberty in Mexico.
Good.
So I came back.
Yeah.
I came back 3 inches taller with facial hair, and my voice had changed. So to me,
Right, yeah,
to
good.
me, it became to symbolize manhood. To me, it was huge.
Yeah. I see. That's great. Yeah, you went through it. Something in the water there. You're able to grow.
I called
facial
every
hair. That's
girl I
great.
knew. As soon as I got back, I called every single girl. I was like, "Hey, it's Joe Kolski, Joe Hernandez-Kolski."
Oh, wow. Yeah. Right, you have to update them, the name and the life updates. So
Oh, totally.
it's important. And
But
I
more
mean,
about you. I'm doing all the talking. See.
No, this is about you. We already did me.
More.
I wanted to okay. Well, yeah. I mean, that's great. I respect. I already have a lot of respect for your mom, and I watched your incredible, I guess, soul pancake video. Right, such a great. I mean, what a tribute to your mom, and she sounded amazing. And then also just the underlying theme of, and for those listening, go watch Joe on Soul Pancake. A quick goog. But yeah, if you're getting emotional, sort of that theme of getting emotional, it's not a bad thing. But yeah, we do really stigmatize it. And I think it's that resonated with so many people in the comments. Not that YouTube comments are always the final say, but clearly it was a meaningful message coming from a guy, right? Which is a whole nother thing. Talk about, masculinity and stuff. And I thought it was like a really powerful thing and such a great thing because my podcast, is all about talking about that stuff. I think it's very important. So
What's your tell me about you and your
that?
mom. How do you guys get along? Like where is she?
Yeah.
Is she the stereotype of that, or is she not?
Oh, no, I guess not. And she is very, so she's third generation, and I think is a little bit old on the older side, maybe for, the just generational gap. And I think as a result, she's always been very supportive, but also, I think sometimes I'll talk to her and she'll kind of like, I can tell she, her generation, maybe it was like, okay, maybe not as ambitious about certain things. And so she'll like still feel sometimes maybe down about that, and I think she's a very, very brilliant and capable person. And I would be, I'm very proud of like what she's accomplished in her life, but I think sometimes, she's probably like, oh yeah, maybe do this or do that. And so some certain things are still gender roles for her, while other things I think she is trying to push me in a way that is like, positive, not like a tiger mother stereotype, even though who knows, maybe they're coming from a place similar, right? But yeah, and she's a dental hygienist, and she is she draws cartoons sometimes now too, which is very exciting because her dad was a cartoonist. So getting into her artistic life later
that's
in life,
so
I think,
awesome.
very exciting. Sure. Yeah, it's great. So yeah, I think it's, I'm thankful for her, and I think, like you said, it's so helpful to have somebody who does put wind in your sails and does, champion you, because
I don't know how else.
It's sometimes, yeah.
I don't know how people do it who did not have that, who don't have that,
Totally.
God love
that is important.
Yeah. That's why we run our open mic for high school kids. I think it's critical to offer that support to kids. So for 18 years now, if any of you have high school
talk
kids,
more about that. Go.
If any of you have high school kids, look us up, Downbeat 720, because originally we said it would start at 7, but my original partner was a drummer, and she's like, we'll start at 7, but the downbeat will hit at 720, meaning that's when we would really get things going. And I was like, well, let's just call it Downbeat 720. It's a great name, and then people will know when it starts. The problem is, over the years, Downbeat 720 becomes Downbeat 730, Downbeat 735.
Naturally.
So So yeah, but we've been
It's
doing it
tough
for
to be
18
pumped.
years, creating
Oh,
a
wow.
safe and supportive space for high school kids to express themselves. And it definitely was born out of my own desire to affirm kids in ways that I was affirmed. So, because I know that a lot of people don't have those safe and supportive spaces to create. So we thought we'd build one for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, what sort of, I guess, why an open mic specifically?
Because it's versus what? Like versus doing...
Or just what was your, did you have a moment where you're like, you know what would have been nice in high school is like going to an open mic or one that is crafted a certain way or, yeah, because I think
I think it was just born out of the fact that I was going to open mics at that same time. And it's probably the easiest way to work with kids versus like, you know, there are all sorts of wonderful arts programs where, you know, the kids do workshops and then they, you know, write a piece and then they, you know, do a performance. I mean, yeah, open mic is like, come as you are.
Yeah.
You know, just get up there. So, and we've been able to have some wonderful stuff come out of those moments.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because I think, you know, there's something about it that feels very much like what you're saying, like throw yourself up there instead of sort of the daunting task of, oh, everybody prepares for a while and then you like present this polished piece or whatnot. But yeah, how has it been for you? How has it been adjusting to the old quarantine life?
It's been okay. I mean, for me, it's just another Wednesday, you know. And of course, I don't think, is today Wednesday? I don't even know. Oh, it is Wednesday. I was right.
It is.
I was right.
Good job. You're doing great, sounds like.
To me, it's just another Wednesday. Well, here, I'll show you this. This is crazy. Can I share? I don't think I can. No, that's fine. I'll just put it up here. No, it's actually just easier. So I shot a PSA. And because of the craziness of the pandemic, they took over my living room. So it's insane.
Oh, you have a full set going on?
I did. So it's over now, but they took over my...
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They took over my living room, and I had to, like, put my couch into two parts and flip it on itself, and we had to put up these blacks everywhere, and then had this massive camera.
That's great. I mean, who knew, you know? It's desperate times.
I mean, you know, I'm glad to have the work.
Yeah.
But it was challenging, like, because they set it up on Saturday and then I didn't shoot until Tuesday. So imagine just your living room just gone, just
sure.
Like, and just
having to sidestep an entire.
Oh, it was awful, and being replaced by just a big dark hole, because that's what it is.
It's got to be, you know, somebody's got to do it in their living room, I guess. Why not put it in the...
And then they all zoomed. Mm-hmm. Then they all zoomed and watched me and adjusted me by Zoom.
So incredible. Did you have to set all that up then yourself, or did they have someone come by and help you?
I set it up on my own. Yes. Yes, I set it up on my own. No employees were in my apartment.
Safety precautions were taken.
Per COVID regulations.
Solo.
I set it up all myself. Not the
stuff.
Not the two gentlemen who were there to be outside just in case I had any trouble. In no way did I immediately go downstairs at 9 a.m. on Saturday and say, "Look, guys, whatever's the most efficient way to get this done, because I have no idea how to do any of this. I am not a professional gaffer. I am not a professional videographer."
Right.
None of that happened. No, I set it up all on my own.
Good to know. glad you have all these skills in your back pocket, you know.
Oh my God, it was insane. They really thought we would be able to do that. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, yeah, I guess we're all kind of just trying to get by and put on a lot of hats if we need to.
We are. I'm a hairstylist now. I'm a professional
Oh, nice.
hairstylist.
Yeah, that's great.
It's not bad.
need
I gotta
to-
actually touch it up now, which I now actually know how to do. I've
Got
learned
it.
how to
A little
do this.
trimming.
You this is how you do it. You have to like go through it, and then you feel for wherever
making your
there's
hair
not even,
little-
and then you just
Oh,
you just trim it.
interesting. Yeah,
And you
yeah,
just,
that makes
and you
sense.
just keep going through in it. So that's not
That's-
bad.
Yeah, I don't pity the short hair treachery of
Yeah.
trimming. Like I haven't cut my hair since it began, but it's not necessary.
Oh yeah, you
It
can just
keeps
let
going
yours
down.
go.
Yeah, it just keeps going down to the floor. We're fine. But okay, wait. Speaking of your set life, I do have to, as a big Gilmore Girls fan, I have to say, big fan. Obviously a really exciting episode, and when I rewatched it so I could see your part, and this is the year in the life, meaning the Netflix reboot of Gilmore Girls for fans out there. I don't know. Do you know what the fans are called? I don't know. Gil fans?
I know the Gilmore
Gilmore
Boys.
Gals. Oh, right. Gilmore, like the podcast? Is that the
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
I mean, sounds like fun. I haven't listened to it, but I love reliving the glory Gilmore days. But anyway, yeah, I mean that particular episode was obviously a musical, and you came in and did your like because it was
My
like kind of
rap.
Hamilton nod, right? So it
Well,
was like a
yeah.
rap, and it was written for Lin-Manuel Miranda, and now Hamilton is on Disney Plus, so it's all relevant again. But what was
It
that
all
experience like?
comes around.
That's really quite a.
I mean, it was. I
quite a
actually really.
world. Yes.
Well, I enjoy it for a couple reasons. Yeah, I mean it's it's cool that they couldn't get Lin-Manuel Miranda, so they asked me. So that's always cool.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I do
not a bad place to be in.
I do appreciate. There's a couple things that I enjoyed about that process. So one, the fact that the casting director was familiar with my work. Shout out to Jamie Radofsky. She's awesome. She's one of the best. And definitely, if you're looking for a studio, she's a partner in the Village Acting Studio, which opened, I think, about a year ago. And it's a really excellent acting and teaching.
Cool.
So, but she kept keeping me in her back pocket. Like, I was aware, I was like vaguely aware that this might be coming down the pipe. So...
Sweet.
Because like a lot of actors, I knew she was casting it, and I hadn't heard from her. And my friends were going in and had gotten cast. And I was like, man, why hasn't she called me for any of these? And I'm like, just be patient and have faith that she knows what she's doing. You have to trust it. Sure. And too often actors can be like, why are they calling me anymore? So, so she finally, and what I love about this is it was on a day that it was a crappy day. It was a self-hating, self-loathing, woe is me day. It was one of those on the couch, not getting anything done type of days. And too often I feel like the person who's like, you always hear the story of the person who's like, I don't know, they didn't call me, and then I was just doing it, and you're like, F you, like. That never happens to me. I was just in a restaurant. They're like, "Do you want to be an actor?" And I was like, "Sure." And now I'm in James Cameron's new movie.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's always be casual.
But it happened. I was, woe is me, and it was like probably around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and I think I got an email, and Jamie was like, "Hey, this is going to happen really fast. They really still want Lin-Manuel Miranda, but I don't think we're going to be able to pull that one off, so be ready." And
nice.
and she was like, here's the track. And I took it on myself. I just walked. I sat down, pulled my computer. Like immediately, it was like it was one of those things where you're on the TV, and you got your phone in the one hand, and you're sort of watching TV, and you're sort of on your phone, and you're watching TV, and you're sort of on your phone, and okay, I got this email. Oh, okay. All right, let's do it. And got up, headphones on, busted out a click track, and recorded it, and sent it to him. And I don't think she asked me in that moment, but I wanted it ready for her in case they did make the call or whatever. And
Oh,
like
good.
probably 20 minutes later, I got an email. You got it. We're doing it. And I was like,
Wow.
bet. Let's do it. And
Great.
so, and she was like, yeah, like it was just a really exciting thing. And I probably wasn't as excited as she wanted me to be, because I was like, all right, cool. You know, and to me, it's always like, I'm
Right.
down.
You don't want to. Yeah.
Well, and I'm just like, let's do the work. Like,
Sure.
I'm not like, oh my God, thank you so much. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Because I'm like,
Right.
I don't,
Head in the game, I
see.
think.
And she was like, you're going to be on stage with Christian Borle and Sutton Foster. And I was like, that's freaking awesome. And so it was a fun part. If you're really into the deepness, you can go, I think I have a link on my website. You can see all my behind the scenes shots.
Oh, yeah. I did click on that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I've gone that deep.
There's some cool photos in there.
I'm so happy you got them, because sometimes, you could probably be so caught up that you don't have time, and then it's like, oh, well, that day's gone, so what are you going to do, right? So that's
and
great.
I love that Sutton, they were no longer together at this point, because they were like a couple in real life.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they were no longer a couple. And Sutton is just charming as fuck. And she said randomly backstage, she was like, she's like, we were just like standing there or whatever. She's like, so this is what I figured out for my character, is that my character has a crush on Joe's character. And I was like, okay.
Me, Joe?
and then I wanted to be like, wait. Is this fictional? What is this? Are we
Right.
talking? Are you trying to tell me something? But it was a good time, and it was one day of work, and I came in and was ready. As a stand-up, you know what it's like when you feel the energy in the room shift like that, and what a wonderful feeling it is when you know you've got your audience and they're boom. And so I was being very quiet and waiting for a moment, and then they were like, all right, Joe, let's rehearse your part. And they had to give me the little earbud so I could hear the track. And then I busted out my rap, and they were like, oh, smack. And I was like, and it was fun. But my favorite story is it's about taking pride in what you do, and always knowing that it may lead somewhere, and you have to trust that feeling. So I got cast, and I took a little selfie in front of the Gilmore Girls casting sign, and was like, oh my God. And I thought about whether or not I wanted to post the photo. And I was, because you always get nervous about self-publicity and over bragging or blah, blah, blah. And also very real reasons, you don't know if you're going to get cut.
Sure.
You never know. And
jinx
so
it.
you don't want to jinx it. And I was like, you know what? I don't think this part's getting cut. And I want to show people I'm working, and I'm excited. And it's a cute little photo of me by the Gilmore Girls casting thing. And I sat in my car after taking the photo, after visiting the office for some paperwork or something. And I sat there, and I was like, should I? I'm like, yeah. Like, it doesn't come. And in the end, you can't control how people respond to something. All you can do is trust your impulse. You can't control how it's received. It's not my job to, well, people might think, you don't fucking know what people are going to think. And so I post the photo, and my buddy Jason Picard, another comedian, and also a hip hop comedy dude, he immediately responds. He's like, oh my God, I'm a huge fan of the show. Man, is there any way, can I get on the show? I'd do anything. Da 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 da. And I'm like, man, send me your pick and res, and I'll forward it along. I don't know. Cool. And Jamie goes, oh my God, I actually have this part I have to fill tomorrow. And so she brings him in the next frickin' day. He books the part.
Oh my gosh.
He plays the guy who is sitting in line waiting for the store to open. There's like a big, there's like this. Yeah. It's a commentary on influencers and people standing in line, waiting in line overnight for stuff.
Oh, okay.
And he's got the big beard, and he's like, yeah, I go to all the openings. So he gets cast,
Great.
And I'm like, all right, bet. If
All
I
right,
hadn't
yeah,
posted
I
that,
guess.
you're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, that was more more of a benefit for him than anything.
And so,
but yeah, totally.
And then he's on set. I don't remember how it happens, but he says to Jamie, man, I'd love to bring my girlfriend on set. She would love to be here. She's the one who got me into Gilmore Girls. And then somehow it gets all coordinated through Jamie again. Jamie's amazing. Mm-hmm. He brings her on set and brings her to the gazebo and proposes to her in the Gilmore Girls gazebo.
Oh, wow, because she's a fan too. They're like
Isn't
Gilmore
that the
Girls
best?
couple.
All because of my selfie.
You own, I think, their child. I think
they do. Wait,
child.
they just had a kid.
Oh,
Why
wow.
is it not named Joe?
Look, yeah, Jesus,
hold on, I gotta message him.
Yeah,
Why is your child's name not
somebody
Joe?
needs to thank those who came before them. Wow, what a domino effect of crazy fun things.
I'm so grateful
that you began.
I got over my own shit and fucking posted that photo. And
sure,
and he's a funny
never know.
actor, and he booked it and then proposed to his now wife. I think that's amazing.
That's big. Yeah, that's very exciting. And I mean, yeah, totally. It's such a weird business to be worried about, or, the idea of worrying about getting cut out of a thing when you did the work, right? So, like, no matter of if you're not in the final edit, like, you still were cast, which is a huge win in and of itself. But I understand, like the expectations, because all that anybody wants to know is like, oh, what have I seen you in and where can I watch it right now? So I get that sentiment. But that's, I mean, every step of the way, it's a big win, I think. And you were prepared for it too, which is, I think so much we can attribute to luck and stuff. But, you have a very specific, great skill and you're able to deliver in a short amount of time. That's stuff that eliminates a lot of people along the way. So that's really cool.
Totally.
But what a fun thing, have you, I guess with types of stuff like that, I kind of resonate with the feeling of, not trying to get your hopes up or trying to be there to work and sometimes that helps.
Yeah, I had I was in the movie, I was cut out of the movie Hancock, which is a Will Smith movie, which...
Right, the superhero, like anti-superhero movie, yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to have just this one line, hey, Hancock, great job, which at the time didn't sound that big or whatever, but the casting director, oh my God, I'm blanking right now, Lauren Gray, she was like, no, trust me, it's man number 2 versus man number 1. Man number one goes, look, it's Hancock. And then man number 2 goes, hey, Hancock, great job. Or good job, or something like that. And she's like, trust me, it's the better line. And you go see the movie, and there's this running theme or whatever, which is about he never affirms people enough or something, and he needs to learn how to say great job or something like that. Like, great job is actually a part of the movie. And so the funny thing is, like, I prepared it, and I was like, hey, Hancock, great job. Hey, Hancock, great job.
Wow.
Hey, Hancock, great job. Like,
I was all the different
ready.
Choices. Nice.
And then I got on set, and, like, it was fucking huge, and they shut down Hollywood Boulevard, and I had my little trailer, and not one of the tiny ones, but like
they're not letting you flap in the wind out there on Hollywood Boulevard. They got you in a trailer. So
and I wasn't too far from Will's, and Will's was like a freaking mansion on wheels.
Sure.
And I get on set, and Peter Berg, I'm a fan of his. I like his work and everything. I'm not happy about this, but I get on set, and I'm with all these other people, and this one dude goes to me like, what does he say? Like, somehow it comes up, and he's like, so what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm one of the actors, and I have a line, and he goes, okay, yeah, I do too. I'm a friend of Peter's. I'm in town from Texas. He thought it'd be funny for me to be on set today. Well, nice to meet you, Joe. Okay. And we're all standing there, and Peter comes over, and let's say his friend's name is Alan. I don't remember. No, that's not a Texan name. What's Pete? Let's say. Oh no, because that's Peter's name. That's what's a good Texan
Peter
name?
is only friends with other Peters.
Exactly, they're all Pete's.
I don't know.
Anyway, I'm gonna go with my initial Alan. His name's Alan.
Nice.
He comes over. Peter walks over to us, and he goes, "Okay, hey everybody. Okay, Alan. All right, so where's the little girl? Okay, there's the little girl. Okay, so little girl, you know what you're gonna say, right? You're gonna say, hey, it's Hancock." And she's like, yeah, hey, it's Hancock. And
nice, boring for it.
And Alan, you're gonna say, great job, Hancock. Okay, all right, let's do this.
What? Don't tell me that was it.
And I'm standing there going, he just gave my line away.
Oh no.
He just gave my line away to his friend.
Damn it, Alan.
Well, fucking Alan.
God damn it. Why do you have to come in from Texas and take away?
He gave my line to his friend.
Your damn job.
And now I'm just standing here and I don't know what to do.
Oh,
I don't know. Do you say to Peter Berg in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard, hey, wait, that's my line. I'm a professional actor. I've been practicing. Great job. So yeah. So and then the thing was
it's traumatizing.
And then there was supposed to be a second scene, and it was written into the script, and I was like, oh, well maybe I still have, I still have those lines, like that happen, later in that same scene or whatever. And so and that's why I was like, I don't know what to do. What do you do? Do you say to the director, hey man, you gave him my line, and then before you know it, the fucking first AD is going, can we?
Oh no,
yeah.
Just sign these and you're good to go.
Yeah, we're not going to need you today. And I was like, and I still had this this hope of this other scene. I was like, well, I have the other scene never even got shot.
Sure. Movies.
So, I still got residuals, Joe. I still got
good.
Residuals.
You should. You deserve it. You deserve that and more.
I still get
that is rough,
16-cent checks from
Hancock. Good. Yes. I mean, you need to frame those. It's all part of it. But that's the kind of stuff, I guess, that we learn to maybe develop our skin more to be like, oh, you know what, it's fine, moving on. Because if you let that get to you, right, then you wouldn't have done Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Right? Then it'd be like, all right, well, can't stick around because who knows what's going to happen. But it is sort of like taking each day as it comes. So it's a good skill. I mean, do you have any other types of things that you've learned from those, this crazy creative type business where it does feel out of control sometimes? Well, I guess
you can't. I personally what?
We have a lack of, kind of outcomes, right, in the way that you don't control the final edit, or maybe it's just you can build up what you're good at and your creative skill as much as you possibly can, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that the dreams always follow right away. So
yeah, you just have to self-create. You have to self-create. That's really, in my opinion, the only way to. For me, the whole goal is to just get shit out, just to get it out. That's all I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to improve as an instrument, and I don't mean like this is my tool, or not. I'm not tool, but this is my instrument. And trying to still, like my commercial that I shot yesterday, I'm not happy with the performance I gave in. I'm happy with parts of it, and I'm hoping that between editing and the graphics, because there's going to be some cool graphics involved and stuff. I will have pulled off something, but as far as personal growth, I learned something yesterday, and I need to continue to trust that impulse. That's my main thing that I'm working on, is trusting that impulse, not holding back, and as far as acting as a career, I think it's one of, and stand up and all of these all of these lessons together, I think create a really beautiful human experience. I think what we learn on stage is tremendous. You know, we dive into our truths. We wrestle with them. We figure out ways to get things out. You know, and you know, some people go to therapy. I go to therapy too. But like, you know, getting out what you need to get out. I think that's what everybody yearns for: self-expression, knowing that their existence matters in this world. And as an actor, I take great pride in the fact that financially, I could have probably done better coming out of Princeton if I would have pursued investment banking or consulting or one of the other paths that were available to me. They were totally available to me. I could be the picture perfect poster child for any diversity program on Wall Street, but that didn't serve me as a human. As a human, I get to stand in a room, freaking 2 or 3 feet from somebody and stare into their eyes and understand how to monitor their behavior and learn how to react. Like Meisner is one of my all-time favorite acting techniques. You learn how to reveal yourself, and I'm proud of the things. On the bad days when I question myself, I'm like, yeah, but we learn about the human condition for a living. Like, that's what we do. Sure. And I think it's beautiful that we get to be the people who people turn to in their times of crisis. People want to hear comics.
Yeah. That's really inspiring and reassuring, I think, too. Like, I have a lot of, I think there's always the worry, and especially post-college, of, okay, well, these people who I typically are my peers, going on to other careers, making more money, making more, definitely more prestigious jobs and institutions that they're part of, whether that's like a bank or a tech company or something. It always feels a little bit, I think, luckily maybe in the past year or so, I felt more okay, because there obviously is sort of that fire that drives us to do this, because it's certainly not other things, right? But so there must be something, but like trusting that is hard, because it does make me at least rely on trusting myself and my instinct, which is not something that I really have done in the past, because I think going through school and being like, all right, well, everybody's saying that I got to study for this test, so I guess we're going to do that. And, oh, they said I did well, so great. It's easy to kind of pass off that responsibility on other things. So it's inspiring to hear that somebody, who has pursued that is, doing well spiritually, and, in looking back, that it was a good decision.
At this moment.
Right. On the Zoom. In this recording.
You happen to be interviewing me in the afternoon. The afternoons.
Oh, yeah. Are they better?
That's when the dark voices start to go away. Like morning's my least favorite time. Ooh.
Interesting.
Which is why I try to get into the gym or work out or do something that as early as possible. Because otherwise I fall further and further into the dark hole.
Good. I mean, sounds like a good way another great reason to probably do exercise, which is a thing I always try to avoid. How about, that's kind of a good transition into, normally towards the end of the podcast, I like to ask guests about their sort of, mental health tips or things that they do to kind of keep their heads up. And I know it's a specific time, but if you have any tips.
I'm working on meditating in the mornings. I've started using, what is it? I forget the name of it again, but it's a good app. 10%.
Oh,
it's
just
is that
the Dan something?
I think so. Yes, yes, it
good.
is.
Dan something. Good.
Yeah, Dan something. But yeah, I've been using that, and I've been reading this book called The Buddhist Boot Camp, which is fun, and it's just short, short little 2-page chapters, and it gives you just different things to think about, and then I just write, and write as much as I can.
Oh wow!
And I'm shooting this video project with one of my collaborators, Benjamin Byron Davis, right now, which is taking up a lot of time, but I think we're getting somewhere, and the beauty of art is, on a good day, you are getting that stuff out of you. So
yeah.
Get it out. That's my piece of advice. Get it out. No matter what you got to do, get it out. Even if it's that hard conversation that you've been avoiding, just get it out. Truth will set you free.
Nice. Yeah, it's true. That's what the open mics are for too.
Yeah.
It's a recurring theme here.
I think some of my struggles over the past few years are from the fact that I'm not going to open mics as much as I used to. I used to have half-written thoughts and just get up on stage with them. Like, I don't do that as much anymore. There's this thing called Netflix. That's amazing.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to leave. I mean, it was hard to leave the house before you couldn't leave the house even. It was very quarantine friendly even before.
Everything is available now. Everything.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is maybe, now that we really can't. At least I mean Zoom open mics. I hear that's even a thing. Then you. I've
done
Netflix
storytelling.
and do that. I've
done storytelling. Oh, I'm hosting one. Do you do storytelling at all?
I have before. I don't know if I'm good at it.
I'm sure you are. If you can do stand-up, you can do storytelling. If you want to.
It's always okay. What is sort of your thoughts on story? Because I feel like that's another one where it's sort of very overlapping with poetry and stand-up, obviously, but it's still its own thing.
I think storytelling is good. It's a good form. It's a good form. What has gotten better for me as a storyteller is my ability to not be on the page. It's fascinating watching storytellers just read from the page, which can be fine, but if I can be here and really talking to you versus here,
Sure.
It's going to be better.
It's different.
And trying to just be more present and understand what my beats are. And telling stories over and over again has helped, because then you become comfortable and then you can improv a little bit. And I told a story recently that I just had more colors to it and I really liked it. And I was like, I want to share this online, but I've already shared this story before. And I don't think anybody will appreciate me going, no, but this one's way more nuanced. This is more grounded, so. But storytelling's fun. It's good to get stuff out. I love the fact that my dad has been watching me and my sister do it, and now he wants to do it. And I'm like, my dad, like your mom and her drawings.
Yeah, it's sort of that creative flicker that comes out.
I would love to see my dad do something like that. I don't know if he will, but we'll see. I'll keep you posted.
He's got plenty of I can think about it, and you gotta put him on your Zoom show. Easy. Yeah. Do it from home. But that's a good point. I think it's always interesting because storytelling, I think initially I was skeptical about not that particular art form, but how everybody always says, like, I like to tell stories as like why they're in Hollywood. And so you're kind of like, okay, are you saying that? And that's true? Or is that something that you've learned to say because it's kind of the way to be like passionate about being a movie star or something, right? But it is the more that I think meet people and learn about it, it does feel like it's such a it is like the one thing that threaded throughout human history, and so that's why we're naturally drawn to it. And it's weird to think of it that way because it's so natural, but you're like, oh, do I like this movie because for thousands of years we've been telling great stories? That's like the weird philosophical version of that. But
we identify, and hopefully we identify, and hopefully we grow from it or whatever. I'm one of those people. I'm guilty of it. When somebody asks, so what do you like better, film, television, theater, comedy? I'm like, they're all different. They're different mediums, and they tell different stories, in different ways. So you can't compare them. I don't think. They all have their pros and cons. So.
Yeah. That's it. It's definitely like if you are somebody who's been able to enjoy all of them, then it's probably hard to just pick one. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason why they all exist at the same time.
Yeah.
But that's beautiful. Well, I think we're wrapping up. I don't want to take too
Do
much of
it!
your time, but yeah, anything, I guess normally also I ask guests to plug their stuff so people know where to find you. So
Pocho Joe. Everything is at Pocho Joe. PochoJoe.com. POCHOJOE. And pocho is a term that Mexicans used to use towards Mexican Americans in a derogatory fashion. They would say, no eres mexicano, eres pocho. You're more American than you are Mexican. And I take it as a term of pride. I believe todos somos pochos. We are all pochos. And so if you grew up putting mayonnaise on your tortilla as a snack, you are a true pocho. So that's where you'll find me, pochojoe.com, and everything is pochojoe. Instagram.com/pochojoe, YouTube.com/pochojoe, youporn.com/pochojoe. That's where I'm at.
good branding. Yeah, wasn't taken yet. That's good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Joe, and have a great day.
You're awesome, Kato.
Thank you. Yay! Thank you so much for listening to that episode with Joe Hernandez-Kolski. Look him up, see what he's up to. Do the thing. It was kind of funny thinking about how, like, in my mind, I had a very loose understanding of, so like throughout last year it was like, well, probably like next year I'll do that, or next year I'll do that, like when that codedly meant like when the pandemic is over. But like I don't, there's literally no, the virus doesn't know how to read the solar new year or whatever the fuck. So obviously we're still very much in the pandemic. LA County in particular is very, very surged, which is scary. So, I mean, it doesn't change my life. I just sit inside all day. But what I'm hoping is, the new year can kind of bring some reflection. So, especially when it comes to stay positive, just the the general vibe of this podcast, I think, is figuring out what's different about people, and having different guests on and talking through hard things in their lives or attitudes that they have or insights that they have. And I've been very blessed to have such a great group on. So I'm excited that I'm still doing this in the new year. And I think, dare I say, there are a lot of podcasts out there now, and quite a lot of podcasts have popped up during the pandemic. But proudly, this podcast did exist before the pandemic, and I feel like only during the pandemic did I even see more listeners come on board. So thank you, and please continue to listen. So I don't really do New Year's resolutions, but I feel like I don't know, should I? Should I? No, I feel like this is the year. This is the year where I definitely won't. It's just like, why would I subject myself to more disappointment? Right? Especially last year and then this, it's like, what? Setting goals now? We don't have anything to do. Just like stay alive, right? So I would encourage you to do the same. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. But I am kind of like warming up to the idea of just like general mindsets, like immeasurable things where you don't really know if you met your goal, but you also didn't really know if you didn't meet your goal. It's like very amorphous and you're not really sure, right? I think that's a really good way to go about it, because then you're headed in a direction. I kind of like the idea of like, I'm headed in this direction and there's not really a finish line. So it's just more of like, okay, this year I just plan to be a little bit more, well, I would love to not choke on my spit, which is a total challenge for me. I do it all the time. But what I mean is like, okay, what's the direction I'd like to head in? I think I would definitely like to think more in abundance mentality. That just means there's enough for everybody. So there's enough opportunity for everybody. So trying to be less about, a piece of the pie has been taken. There's plenty to go around, right? I want to think more about feeling less shame about certain things. Like I know when Aiden Park came on the podcast, we talked about laziness. Did that come on? Maybe we didn't record that portion, but there was a part about, maybe I talked about it later. Sorry, I don't remember anything. My memory's been very bad in quarantine. But basically the fact that like I'm kind of ashamed of being lazy sometimes, even if maybe my definition of lazy is different. But if I'm like, oh, I didn't get the podcast out, oh, I'm so lazy, right? That's kind of the word I go to. Or if I sleep in and, it's much later when I wake up, I'm like, oh, wow, that really makes me feel like I'm a little bit lazy. And I feel ashamed about that all day. So it's something that I'm learning is like, oh, or you could just be like, yeah, so what? I'm lazy. That's okay. I got my morning routine done quicker because I had to get it done so I could be on time for that thing, instead of having an hour in the morning, I had 15 minutes. So yeah, those are all directions that I'm heading in of just sort of like, yeah, just maybe do this a little bit more, but I don't have to measure it, So maybe try that. Who knows? Anyway, thank you for listening and hope you have a great week. Hopefully I will have new episodes at some point, but maybe I'll be lazy about it. Okay, bye.
Stay positive with zero.